Were the flowers in my house? No, they weren't in my house. Where were the flowers?
The flower was in the cemetery on the grave.
On the graves in the cemetery. Where did I walk?
Through the cemetery. I walked
through
the cemetery.
the cemetery. When did I walk through the cemetery?
On November 1st. I walked through the cemetery
November 1st,
on November 1st, the Day of the Dead.
Right, November 1st, the Day of the Dead, I walked through the cemetery. What was the cemetery like?
The cemetery was like a party.
Like a party. It was like a party. The cemetery was like a party. Was I curious about this holiday?
Yes, I was curious about this holiday.
I was curious about this holiday. Which holiday was I curious about?
The Day of the Dead. I was curious about the Day of the Dead.
The Day of the Dead. I was curious about the Day of the Dead. So I walked through the cemetery. There was also color in the sky because many kids were flying kites. Where was the color?
In the sky. The color was in the sky.
In the sky, that's right, in the sky. Why was there color in the sky?
Because many kids was flying kites.
Because kids were flying kites. The kites. There was color in the sky
because kids were flying kites.
Who were flying kites?
Kids. Kids were flying kites.
Kids were flying kites. Was the sky colorful or was the sky gray?
The sky was colorful.
The sky was colorful. What was colorful?
The sky. The sky was colorful.
The sky was colorful. Why was the sky colorful?
Because many kids were flying kites.
Kids were flying kites. What were the kids flying?
Kites. The kids were flying kites.
That's right. The kids were flying kites. Where were they flying kites?
In the cemetery.
In the cemetery.
Kids were flying kites in the cemetery.
In the cemetery. Who was flying kites in the cemetery?
Kids. Kids were flying kites in the cemetery.
Children. Kids were flying kites in the cemetery. Some families were having a picnic next to the graves. We, in the United States, don't do this. So some families were having a picnic next to the graves. They ate, they drank, and they chatted together. Did they eat?
Yes, they ate.
Yes, they ate. Who ate?
The families.
Families.
The families ate.
Families ate. What did they eat?
The watermelon food.
They ate Guatemalan food.
They ate watermelon food.
From Guatemala. Right. The families ate Guatemalan food. Did they eat American food?
No, they didn't eat American food.
No, they didn't
They
eat American
ate
food.
watermelon
They
food.
ate Guatemalan food. Where did they eat?
In the cemetery. They ate watermelon food in the cemetery.
In the cemetery, right? They ate food in the cemetery. They ate Guatemalan food in the cemetery. They also drank in the cemetery.
Oh.
Did they drink water in the cemetery?
No, they didn't. They didn't
No.
drink. They didn't drink water.
What did they drink?
They drank beer
Cemetery?
in the cemetery.
They drank beer.
In the
Who drank beer?
the families. The families drank beer.
The families drank beer. What did they eat?
They ate Guatemalan food.
Guatemalan food. They ate Guatemalan food and drank
beer.
Did they drink beer or did they drink water?
They drank beer.
They drank beer. Where did they drink beer?
In the cemetery. They drank beer in the cemetery.
Beer in the cemetery. When did they drink beer?
On November 1st. They drank beer on November 1st, the Day of the Dead.
Of the Dead. They drank beer. When did they eat?
On November 1st.
They
ate on November 1st,
on
the Day
November
of the
1st,
Dead.
The Day of the Dead. Did they chat together?
Yes, they chatted together.
They chatted together. Who chatted together?
The families. Families chatted together.
The families, of course. The families chatted together. When did they chat together?
In the cemetery. They chatted in the
November
cemetery.
1st, the Day of the Dead.
Oh, wait. On November 1st.
People laughed and smiled. In the United States, cemeteries are always somber. Are cemeteries happy in the United States?
No, the cemeteries aren't happy
No,
in the United
never.
States.
Cemeteries aren't happy in the United States. Cemeteries are always somber, sad, and serious. Are cemeteries serious in the United States?
Yes, cemeteries are
Yes,
serious
they are.
in the United States.
Cemeteries are always somber. They are always serious. In the United States, are cemeteries somber or are cemeteries happy?
In the United States, cemeteries are always somber.
Right? Cemeteries are always somber in the United States. Was the cemetery somber in Guatemala?
No, the cemeteries aren't.
No. It wasn't somber
What's
in
somber?
Guatemala. The cemetery wasn't somber in Guatemala. But in the United States, cemeteries are always somber. Are cemeteries always somber in Guatemala or in the United States?
In the United States, the cemeteries are
In the
always
United
somber
States,
in the United States.
Cemeteries are always somber. Where are cemeteries always somber?
In the United States.
The United States, that's right. In the United States, cemeteries are always somber. Are they happy?
No, they aren't happy.
No. They are always somber. Cemeteries in the United States are always somber. Very, very somber. We certainly never have festivals or parties next to graves. Do we have parties next to graves?
No, they don't.
No, we don't. We don't have
We
parties
don't have a party next to the grave.
Do we ever have parties next to graves?
No, never. They don't
No, we never
ever.
have parties.
They never have
to
parties
graves.
next to graves.
Do we ever have parties in restaurants?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, we have parties
We are always.
in restaurants.
We have
But
parties
we never
and
have
restaurants.
parties next to graves. Do we ever have parties in houses?
Yes, maybe. We
Yes,
have
we do.
parties
We
in
have parties
houses
in houses. But we never have parties
next
to
to the
graves.
grave. Next to grave.
Do we ever have parties next to graves?
No, never. We don't
No,
have parties
never.
next
We
to
never
graves.
have parties next to graves. Where do we never have parties?
In the United States.
Next to graves.
Next to
We
the
never
grave.
have parties next to
Why
graves.
do you-
Do we ever?
No, never.
No, never. We never have parties next to graves. Not ever. Never. We don't laugh, or play music, or fly kites in cemeteries either. Do we laugh in cemeteries usually?
No, they don't laugh.
No.
In cemeteries.
We don't laugh in cemeteries. Where don't we laugh?
In the cemeteries.
In cemeteries. That's right. Okay. I found that I preferred the Guatemalan approach. Did I find that I preferred the American approach?
No,
Or did I find that I preferred the Guatemalan approach?
I found that I preferred the
The
Guatemalan approach.
I found that I preferred the Guatemalan approach. Did I find that I preferred the American approach?
No, I didn't
No, I
find
didn't.
that.
I didn't find that I preferred the American
Prefer
approach.
the
I
American
found that I preferred the Guatemalan approach. Which approach did I prefer?
The Guatemalan. The Guatemalan
I preferred
approach.
the Guatemalan approach. Did I prefer the American approach?
No, I didn't prefer the Guatemalan approach.
Who
The
preferred
American
the Guatemalan approach?
Guatemalan approach.
Me, AJ. Right?
AJ.
I preferred
AJ,
the
I
Guatemalan
prefer the
approach.
Guatemalan approach.
I found that I preferred the Guatemalan approach. I liked the way they remembered and celebrated those who had passed away. Did they celebrate those who were alive?
No, they didn't celebrate
No,
those
they
who
didn't
were
celebrate
alive.
those who were alive. They celebrated
They celebrate
those
who had passed away.
Did they celebrate those who had passed away?
Yes.
Or those who had become rich?
They
celebrated
those who had passed away.
Who celebrated those who had passed away?
The families, the Guatemalan families.
Guatemalans celebrated those who had passed away. When did they celebrate?
On November
those
1st,
who had passed
the Day
away?
of the Dead.
On the Day of the Dead, November 1st. On the Day of the Dead, November 1st, they celebrated those who had passed away. Who celebrated?
The families, the Guatemalan families.
Guatemalan families celebrated.
Celebrated.
Who did they celebrate? They celebrated those
who have
away.
passed away.
I liked that they acknowledged death instead of denying it the way Americans do. Who liked that they acknowledged death?
AJ.
Yeah, me, AJ. Right? Me, AJ. I liked that they acknowledged death. Did they acknowledge money?
No,
Or did they acknowledge death?
they acknowledged
They acknowledged
death.
What did they acknowledge?
Death. They acknowledged death.
They acknowledged death. Who acknowledged death?
The watermelons.
Guatemalans, right? Guatemalans acknowledged
death.
Did they acknowledge death, or did they acknowledge money?
They acknowledged death.
They acknowledged death instead of denying it. Who denies death?
The Americans.
Americans deny death. Do Guatemalans deny death?
No, they didn't deny death.
Guatemalans don't deny death. Americans deny death. Do I like that Americans deny death?
No, I don't.
I don't like it. I don't like that Americans deny death. But I like that there is life as well as death in Guatemalan cemeteries. I liked that. Did I like their cemeteries?
Yes, I like
their
the cemeteries.
What did I like?
The cemeteries.
Their cemeteries. Guatemalan
The Guatemalan cemetery.
Guatemalan
The Guatemalan cemetery.
Did I like Guatemalan cemeteries, or did I like Guatemalan restaurants?
I like the Guatemalan cemeteries.
Guatemalan cemeteries. Whose cemeteries did I like?
The Guatemalan cemeteries.
Guatemalans, right? Guatemalan cemeteries. I liked the Guatemalan cemeteries. Guatemalan cemeteries. Whose cemeteries did I like? The Guatemalan cemeteries. I liked the Guatemalan cemetery. Guatemalans call it the Day of the Dead, but it is also a day to appreciate life. Okay, that is all
for
this
mini story of the Day of the Dead. Bye bye. See you next
slow
time.